welcome. I'm Jane Werwind, the founder of Dermalogica. I'm joined again by Dr. Diana Howard, our Vice President of Research and Development for both the Dermalogica products and all of our education through the International Dermal Institute, which of course researches and develops Dermalogica. And today we're going to talk about one of the main differences in Dermalogica. When we launched the Dermalogica products in 1987, we were really the first company to launch and became famous for what we left out of our formulations, maybe in those early days even more famous than what we had in the formulations. The Dermalogica differences were very marked, and they were very different than anyone else. Dermalogica is never formulated with any mineral oil. We don't use lanolin. We don't use SD alcohol. We don't use formaldehyde. We don't use artificial color. We don't use artificial fragrance. And we always use contamination-free packaging wherever possible. And that really set the standard for the industry, and I'm really proud. One of the things of which I'm most proud is when I look at products that are being developed now, I don't know that you could really introduce a product without recognizing those differences that we established. And over the years, we get lots of questions about why we use this ingredient, why we don't use that ingredient, and it always provokes a lot of conversation and a lot of discussion. So one of our first differences was that we don't use SD alcohol. And sometimes I hear people say, Diana, oh, Dermalogica doesn't use any alcohol in its products. And I have to correct them and say, no, because not all alcohols are created equal. Right. Usually when we think of alcohol, well, unless you're thinking of a vodka gimlet, you're thinking of alcohol that looks like this, sort of drying alcohol, 70% alcohol. But we're going to talk about some other things that are also alcohols that we do use and indeed are very beneficial to the skin. When we developed the product line, one of the first products we developed was multi-active toner. And it's a hydrating spritz that evens out the porosity of the skin. It does not contain anything drying in it at all, because even though the name is toner, it doesn't strip or dry the skin. Correct. We use the word toner in the name to position it as the second step after cleansing and the step immediately before you start adding any moisturizing or hydrating. It's the first layer of hydration on the skin. And yet traditionally, toners always use stripping alcohols, drying alcohols, to remove grease from the skin and remove residue of cold cream-based cleansers, which was sort of a generation of product development before us. But talk to us a little bit, Diana, about, first of all, why a drying alcohol, what the word SD alcohol means, and then what are some of the beneficial alcohols?
Well, SD alcohol simply means denatured alcohol. Right. And the reason they do that is because they don't want people to take alcohol and think they can drink it. So you denature it. And the number that often is associated with it on the ingredient list is just the denaturant that they use. The reason cosmetic formulators use alcohol is it's a very cheap and light solvent. You'd use it in a toner. As you said, initially the toners were first designed to remove residual like cold cream or cleansing product.
You tissue off your cold cream, and then the alcohol in the toner would strip away the residue. And then you'd say to the client, because I was trained in that era, look how dirty it is. So the cleanser didn't remove everything. Look how dirty the cotton pad is, when really that's the cleanser.
Well, but worse than that is it's also your own natural lipids. And that's the problem with using alcohol in a product and why we would never use it. Not only is it an irritant to skin, people don't realize that. It causes inflammation to the skin. We've all seen that redness. Yes. But it dehydrates the natural lipids from the skin. And when it does this, it's now opened up all the little portals and doorways down into the lower layers of the skin, so that anything in your environment can get down into the skin and irritate your skin. And by the same token, that natural lipid barrier is what keeps the water in the tissues down below. So alcohol, there really is totally stripping it out.
And what you also know, and we know as skin therapists, is that when you do dehydrate the skin, even an oily skin, when you strip it, it tries to compensate, not by producing more hydration, because it doesn't do that, it produces more oil. That skin gets oilier. I've seen some toners, the traditional toners with an alcohol base, even use acetone to further strip the skin. I mean, be careful, because it'll actually remove any nail polish if you're not paying attention.
there are a lot of toners on the market that use alcohol, they use acetone. It's probably the worst thing. I was walking through a department store last week and I saw, on Saturday the girl was doing all these demos as customers walk by, and she's still pushing this toner that has acetone and showing them the cotton ball and saying, look this is all the dirt on your skin that we can remove. They were removing the woman's natural lipids of her skin.
Right.
Now the interesting thing is alcohol doesn't always have to be a low molecular weight solvent like that. This is an alcohol.
I know, that's
These
so amazing.
flakes, this is cedaryl alcohol.
Yeah.
This is an emollient. We use this in skincare products and creams and lotions.
It's like a wax.
It is a wax. It's a long-chain fatty alcohol. But by the same token, this little vial here, that's tocopherol,
and that
vitamin E.
And that is an oil.
That is an oil. That's vitamin E. When you take a gel cap of vitamin E and you cut it open and you squeeze the oil out, that is the same as of what you're going to see here. So this is an alcohol. So just because it's an alcohol, all it means from a chemist's point of view is that it has a hydroxyl group on it. It doesn't necessarily mean it's a drying, lightweight alcohol like this, which we want to completely shy away from.
But it can be a fatty alcohol.
Fatty alcohols,
and with the ability
yes.
to solubilize another ingredient into the formula.
Exactly. So, don't say, when we say it's alcohol-free, we mean it's free of drying alcohols, stripping alcohols.
So it's important to position that correctly when we're talking to clients about alcohols and say we don't use drying alcohols because of course some alcohols are beneficial to the skin because they're fatty.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's, everything is in the language and everything is in the education. The more we understand about what the ingredients are that Dermalogica uses, the better skilled we are as skin therapists to talk about that and initiate that conversation with our clients. And not just warn them about what not to use, but teach them about what would be good to use. I know that you put a lot of work and time and energy into education, Diana. It's what you do. Where would you recommend our skin therapists go to learn as much as they can about Dermalogica and the ingredients that we use?
Well, I think the best place is to come to our Formula Works class.
It's a great class.
And we update that. We're updating it again as we speak. People are always saying to me, where's their textbook? I'm willing to buy it. The problem is this industry is changing so rapidly. By the time you buy something, it's out of date.
Yes.
So the best thing is come to class. We keep the classes we update them every year, as you know. And so we are constantly putting not just the basic ingredients like alcohols and understanding them, but what are some of the new state-of-the-art ingredients that one should look for?
Ingredients
Absolutely.
that we use, the advanced ingredients that maybe no one else is using, and you have to therefore get the knowledge to understand it. Of course, the book always has a glossary of ingredients in that, and we update that regularly as we introduce new products, but there's no substitute for a class because you get to ask questions and get them answered. Thank you for joining us, and I look forward to seeing you next time.